What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. A few days ago, feminist ESPN host Malika Andrews got into somewhat of a debate with Stephen A. Smith. And of course, this debate was about how the Celtics handled the Ime Udoka situation. Now, let me kind of sum up Stephen A. Smith's position. His position was that if Ime Udoka was going to be fired, he should have been fired. And what he did to get fired should have not been brought out to the media. And the reason why it should not be brought out to the media is because when things like this happen in other franchises or in other sports places, this is never done. But instead, the Celtics did not fire him. They suspended him for the season, possibly indefinitely, as well as bringing out all the information about what he did. Now, just like me, Stephen A. Smith believes that Ime Udoka should be fired. He did it to himself. That's exactly what I'm saying. He did it to himself. But because of how it happened, and obviously you had some women that were falsely accused on the Celtics staff as his lover and all of that. And of course, I definitely don't approve of women being dragged into this who had nothing to do with it. That did happen. Speculations were occurring. That is because the Celtics did not name anybody else who was to blame. The women who were also getting along with the situation consensually with Mr. Ime Udoka, if there is more than one woman, were protected. All right. And what Stephen A. Smith is saying, hey, number one, this doesn't happen to white coaches. And number two, then what about the women? Are they not also as accountable as he is if they're on the staff? Now, let me just talk about this. Malika Andrews seems to have a problem with black men. Men in general. Number one, she dates David Miniman. Okay. And she has been accused of anti-black, stereotypes in the past. So I'm not going to deal with her. But on that, I'll talk about something else she did later. But now, let me just say this. Once she came on the show, she told Stephen A. Smith to stop. In other words, not comprehending very well. In other words, telling Stephen A. stop blaming women, which he was not blaming women. In my honest opinion, he was telling the truth. Hey, listen, Ime Udoka needs to be out. All right? Needs to be out. But what Stephen A. Smith was dealing with was like, listen, why not fire the guy? Okay. You're allowing the speculation of this whole thing to grow as an organization, the Celtics. And so people are going around looking for these people. So they're calling names of all the women on the staff. But Stephen A. Smith was not responsible for the information getting out. All right. Now, let me just say this. I understand certain things, what Malika Andrews was saying, that the women should not have been falsely accused, that were not in it and all of that. But Stephen A. Smith did not release that information. Malika Andrews clearly cannot hear. But now let me talk about how she came on the show. In very similar to the fashion in which Dr. Umar Johnson was telling Cynthia G on the Fox Soul debate to let him finish. Now, Stephen A., listen to what she had to say. Malika Andrews, though, and that's something I noticed with a lot of these black women here on some of these shows. Whenever a black man is trying to listen to them, he'll be quiet. But now I've noticed so many times whenever the black man is speaking, here come the black women interrupting, even if it's on the person's show. And Shacker said, listen, this is my show. You don't come on here telling me stuff. You're on my show. Okay. So here we have another lady who doesn't comprehend what the question is or what the positions are. And then you have the unmitigated gall, even as Stephen A. Smith would say that phrase, to try to make him look bad or a beta male on his own show. But that's not even the worst thing. Joe Mazzulla is going to be promoted to the head coach because of Ime Udoka's dump. All right. So that's going to happen. What did Malika do? What did Malika Andrews do? I'll tell you what she did. She pretty much brought up the fact that Mazzulla had a fight when he was 18 years old. Okay? Had a fight. Charges were dropped. She brought up his history, which it didn't need to be there because those charges were dropped. The man has had no problem. He's a law-abiding citizen. But whenever it is a black man, Malika Andrews feels like she needs to tear down black men for whatever reason. Now, I can understand Brother Ime Udoka and his stupidity. I get it. But now, why are you going after somebody who is a law-abiding black man? He didn't do anything wrong. And Black Twitter are calling for her to be fired, which obviously she will not be fired. Trying to say, he's angry. Let me tell you this about certain feminist black male hating sisters out there. And brothers, we know that they are out there. Here's what needs to happen to them. Ignore them. You want to know why? They're always going to be there. What can you do? For people like Malika Andrews, Cynthia G, the Weaving and Sandlin crew, bitter baby mamas, outproduce them. You see, here's what we got to understand. We have a lot of opportunity in the black male world, in the black economy all over the world, that what you can do is you can talk with what your success is. That's what, and when you guys hear people like this talking about black men and disrespecting us, it should really light a fire under your ass to say, you know what? I'm gonna go out here and represent us in the right way. I'm gonna make sure I get in the business world, represent us in the right way. I'm going to do something for our people. I'm going to work with our brothers. I'm going to own that piece of real estate. I'm going to take that extra skill and go the extra mile in the business to shut somebody like this up. And guys, let me tell you something. You win with productivity. I remember a time where, let me just say this, it was open season on talking about certain protected groups in America. I'll tell you one right now. The Muslims during 9/11. At that time, listen, in America, anything can be said by them at that time. 20 years later, you better not say anything about them. In the 70s, 80s, 90s, gays. Living Color used to have skits about gays. Big funny business at that time. Now, you wouldn't dare it. Black men, the only difference is, in the 70s, talked about bad. 2022, talked about bad. Why? Not enough productivity to become a real protected group. And that's the only way you win. Ignore people like this and you go out there and win. Take the opportunities in all the sectors. Healthcare, entertainment, tech. Build industries with your brothers so people like this won't be able to talk about us like that, because there's no way, and I know that some of you brothers don't like Stephen A. Smith, but there is no way in hell she would go on a white man show and say that. And definitely if it's a white man or anybody else, she's not going to bring up their past, especially when their brother hasn't done nothing. Only black men get disrespected like that. And we need to really think about how that works. power-seeking strategies with spending money and influencing politicians and having ownership is the only way that this is going to change around for our brothers. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate y'all for that you do. Subscribe to the bell. I'm out.